Welcome to the Jeremy Mullins podcast. We take a deep dive into different educational topics that we optimize your life. In today's episode, we're going to talk about optimizing your wellness journey, your goal, your game plan when it comes to Thanksgiving eating. Here with my man Monte. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
Doing well. You feel like you've lost your, doggy or kitty cat. You're just kind of like, yeah, you have to
All
pipe up,
right,
my man.
I am doing awesome. How are
Oh
you
yeah.
today?
I am doing good. I've gotten back into some more resistance training. I'm doing some functional fitness slash CrossFit, whichever terminology people want to put on that. After the Ironman, so things are going well.
Awesome. I was really just like thinking, I'm looking for the people who are watching on YouTube. I don't know if it's the way our cameras are set up, if you're sitting far away or if I'm sitting close up, but I just look so much like bigger than you.
Yeah, I'm trying to set further away, right? So because I feel like when Reno does the short clips for social media, I feel like my face is like right up on it. So I'm trying to set a little bit back. And for those, here, I'll do a little quick for those that are on YouTube watching. Let me undo my virtual background here for a hot second. Just a little glimpse of the podcast studio coming up. So we take a look at the logo is going to be back there. So the big JM logo, I'll paint that what is now red or maroon. We're going to paint that black, put the logo there. We're going to put some of our sponsorships, some of the OG sponsorships, Summit, Great Up Wealth. Their logos are going to go up on that white wall. So if I have a guest, that is in house, be able to see those logos kind of behind them on the shots. Got the Team Alpha logo, of course, or flag up over there. My degrees are down there on the floor, and you can see the desk is being put together as we speak. So this is going to be the podcast space, which I'm super excited about for the new year.
I can't wait to see it all come together.
Now if I can figure out how to get this screen off. All right, now I'm back. Okay, so yeah, super stoked about that. And hey, I want to just ask people if you've been listening to the podcast, go back and look at some of the show notes. We generally put links in there to the people that have helped us out, make this possible. As far as partnerships and sponsorships, as we're moving forward, and these are companies that we use ourselves to help people become healthier, right? So that's kind of the cool thing about it. Helps get their name out, helps support their business. So if you may purchase some stuff on Black Friday, consider to check our sponsors out and maybe support them in your Black Friday purchases. So speaking of Black Friday, comes the day after what, my friend?
That is the day after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So a
And
lot of people seem to be skipping. Everybody's talking about Christmas. They're missing a big holiday.
I know, right? We should have come on and talked about, Halloween a little bit. And I know it's not necessarily a holiday, but we do see it's a day that will throw curveballs into our individuals' lifestyles that are committing to make this change, right? And I want to say before we get into different ways to quote unquote skin this cat, right? Because there's not a one size fits all when it comes to how you should eat in the holidays, right? And I know that's how a lot of people do it in social media posts and downloadables, books, ebooks, that type of stuff is here's how you go do Thanksgiving or here's how you do the holiday. And I get it, right? There's nothing wrong with a game plan. We're going to knock out some of those game plans today. But I want people to know there's not a one size fits all approach that comes to eating on a holiday, right? And I would argue, like, don't be the butthole, that fixes Tupperware and takes it to your grandmother's. You don't want to eat her special mac and cheese, right? Like, don't be that person. Like learn how to create a good meal plan, eating maybe some of the foods that might be the last opportunity your grandmother ever has to fix that mac and cheese. Like look at the bigger picture, right? But there's different ways to skin the cat. We're going to talk about some different ways to approach it, but the biggest thing I always tell people, it's not the holiday, it's not the vacation, it's not the weekend trip, it's not the wedding that gets people in trouble. It is the other 325 days of the year, right? I know there's not 25 plus holidays. I just was throwing out there other things that go on during the year, right? That is where people get in trouble. They don't get back on track. They let the one day be like, screw it, I can't have success or whatever the case may be.
100%. That getting back on track is the biggest thing.
Yeah, good or bad, right? No matter like if you quote unquote mess up, or you have a good day or whatever the case may be. So let's just start personal, man. I'm just going to ask you, like, hey, what is your game plan, right? Like, what is your first? What is your goal, and then what is the game plan, right? And then how are you going to execute the game plan?
So, I mean, I do have a goal to right now for the end of this quarter to be down to about 12% body fat. But even with that being said, I know my game plan is going there. I'm going to enjoy food because I smiled for the people who are watching this on YouTube when you said something about don't be the butthole who takes the Tupperware. I've
No,
been I've been that person multiple times, right? So I've taken the Tupperware with my food to Thanksgiving, to Christmas and stuff like that. But I mean, I've also learned at this point because I've been doing it for a while how I can go to these things, enjoy those kind of foods without throwing myself off. So my game plan is to go in and I am going to still track and focus on prioritizing protein and then just not overindulging doing the stuff that old me would have done, where I would go in and just see how much I can fill up my plate and then see how many plates I can fill up before
yeah,
the end of the night's over. Because with me, I mean, and a lot of people will relate to this, it's not just going to be a one Thanksgiving meal. So we're going to have a Friendsgiving with my cousins and some friends. I'm going to have Thanksgiving with my family. I'm going to have Thanksgiving with my wife's family, with her mom and her dad. So there's going to be multiple different meals. So I'm still going to prioritize protein and just be sensible about the other things that I do and not stress about it, knowing that it's not about that day or that meal. It's about what I do. Get some megawatt in. It's about what I do the rest of the days, to follow. Or even on that day, not saying, okay, it's Thanksgiving, so I'm just gonna eat like crap all day long. Still wake up, have a high protein breakfast, still get my movement in that day, front load my day with water, and do the things that I educate other people on doing. Just get ahead of the day with the movement, with the water, with the protein, and set myself up for success.
it's funny they say that because that was one point I wanted to bring up. So I'm going to take 2 points from your conversation. First and foremost, I say, hey, don't take Tupperware in. And what I mean by that is like, don't fix something totally different and take in. Like, enjoy your family. That or choose not to go. Like, I would rather you respectively say, you know what, I have this goal, I just can't be there, and then maybe skip dinner and come later than to take in Tupperware of tilapia and rice, right? While everyone else is, having whatever, the host fixed, right? Now, with that being said, what would be a better approach is to take a dish or two that that you can consume and have it for everybody, right? So if you want to fix, maybe some rice or, your pick of a starch or a veggie that would kind of replace some of those higher fat, type starches. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times it's not just, sweet potatoes, that individuals fix for Thanksgiving. It could be a sweet potato casserole, something's going to have a lot more calories in it. Then that's a great way to do it. Bring a couple of dishes. Then, you can have those dishes, right? Add in, which is great for Thanksgiving. Most people have turkey, right? Great protein source, so you could do the protein, do the couple dishes you brought, and boom, there's your way to bring your own food to it without it being awkward for everyone involved.
And then before you go on to the next point, I was gonna say that the progression of how I did this, because it was many years, right? There was one year, the first year, I did the cod, green beans, and red potatoes,
Yeah.
and then I learned a little bit more, and then I took ground
So let me
turkey.
ask you: did you end up eating anything else that year? So you took
No,
the cod, you took all that,
that
right?
year it was specifically that, nothing else.
Okay,
And then the next year, I took more Thanksgiving type food, so I did ground turkey, green beans, sweet potatoes. Like had my, and then now it's like okay, have the turkey at the thing, but maybe have my own potatoes, green beans, so stuff that's still a Thanksgiving food, just
yes.
knowing like exactly what's in it, not having all the extra butter and stuff. And then this year, year four at it is going to be just eat the food that's there and be sensible about it.
Oh, and as you progress through this, your rebound
Has
after
been a lot less.
Thanksgiving.
I've been able to maintain results a lot longer because I have learned the
Huh,
lifestyle side of it and how
huh,
to and how to enjoy these
huh.
things.
Gotcha. Okay. And I am not picking on Monte, guys. This is the progression, right? And that's the reason we want to cover it. We want to go over it and just kind of give you what we see, works for most people. Now, with that being said, if you have a bodybuilding competition, right, a physique competition 2 weeks from now, then yes, you may fix your Tupperware bowl and you take it and you explain to everybody is, hey, I've got this coming up in 2 weeks, right? And this is something I've been working on for the last 3 months, and they'll understand that, right? So, we get it that a lot of the approaches is going to be what is the current goal in the situation, but are method of teaching is that this becomes a lifestyle, right? We're kind of working you through the mind process there, the mind thoughts that we have going into these holidays. Okay. The other thing that you mentioned, and that's on the lifestyle. And this is once again your choices. I remember being back as a kid, there wasn't any friendsgiving, right? Like there wasn't. Like you had Thanksgiving, right? And I think this is just where society is going in the sense of like, the socialness of a bunch of different parties. And I'm like, okay, that's on you. If you're choosing to do 7 Thanksgiving dinners, or gatherings, then you're gonna have to navigate that, versus just going to one. So, it's just something that you have to look at is like, what is a priority, right? And being able to go and once again use some of these tools we talk about, taking your own, side dishes, taking your own entrees in here so that you're having good choices.
Yeah, especially like you said, like when you're having to like maybe some people have a situation where parents are separated or something like that, making those decisions where you might be going to two in one day. At one of them, you're gonna eat, more of the turkey, the green beans, and then the second one you choose to have some of those other specialty things, the desserts and stuff like that, not going all out at both of them.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to decisions.
Yeah. And make the decision, move on. Okay. And that's the number one thing that we have is what is your goal? You have to understand your goal. Okay. I myself, am working down, I'd like to get down to close to that 10% body fat. So I did the DEXA scan here recently and was at 16%, which I, was kind of happy with. Like that's 16% non-tracking, just living the lifestyle. Right. So I'm going to redo a scan actually at the beginning of the year. Okay. And for the listeners that maybe have a DEXA scan available to you, I want you to put it out there. I'm actually working on getting a discount code for everyone. So if you're interested in doing 2 scans, one at the beginning of the year and one at around 2.5, 3 months later, I'm going to do something special for those people that are interested in doing that. Right. With that being said, I want to be able to use your results. Right. So I'll give you a little bit more education, maybe a private Zoom call for those that participate in it on a weekly basis. And then, we can showcase those results. But with that being said, that's my goal. Okay. My goal for Thanksgiving this year, we're traveling to my brother's, where it'll be my mom, my brother's family, and my kids. Um, I'm going to, treat it as I'm going to enjoy it, like I normally would, have turkey as my protein source, the mashed potatoes as my starch source, and then I'll probably have a little bit of dessert. Okay. And you're like, okay, Jimmy, how's that normal? It's just a higher calorie meal for me. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm taking my gravel bike, and that morning I'll make sure to do a good 2 to 3 hour ride because I enjoy riding. I'm into fitness right now. I'm not punishing myself. I'm just scheduling the ride for that morning, right? And then I will do some push-ups, some pull-ups, kind of upper body stuff since I'm doing for the bike ride on my lower body. That way I'm working kind of my entire body because when we train, okay, a certain muscle, let's just say chest, you're using up that muscle glycogen in those muscles. So when you do like a total body workout, you're using up a lot of different areas of the muscle glycogen. So then when you have carbohydrate, your body has room to store that carbohydrate. So that's my approach is going to be, I'm not going to track. I will continue with non-tracking until the start of the year, just kind of my goal right now. So I'm not going to track it. I'm going to do a good source of protein. I'm going to do probably the mashed potatoes just as my starch, because I like mashed potatoes with my turkey, with, a little bit of gravy there. And then I'll probably choose a dessert if my mom fixes, anything. And she normally fixes no-bake cookies, so that will probably be the dessert.
No bake cookies. That's
Mhm.
one of my That's a weakness for me.
Yeah. So that is, so that is my game plan, right? Every other day will be good. We usually don't fix like too much food, so there's generally not a bunch of leftovers. Usually, the only leftovers is actually the protein, which is a good thing. So I'll probably have turkey multiple times for a protein source, Thursday through the weekend. But I am moving that once again, moving a bike ride to that day and a total body workout, once again to kind of deplete these muscle glycogen inside my body so that the extra carbohydrate has a place to go.
So for the person listening, best workout to do on Thanksgiving morning would be a full body workout.
Full body workout. Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? Like, and once again, everybody's got different goals. I know there's a lot of turkey trots out there, which are great. Go for a turkey trot, but I would also encourage you to throw in some push-ups, right? If hey, you're visiting your family, you're not at your normal gym, go for the turkey trot. But then afterwards, maybe do some air squats, some lunges, some push-ups, just use some other muscles than just running. Because yes, running is going to burn some calories and use some muscle glycogen within the legs, but that resistance training is going to target the specific muscle a little bit more, right? So that's an option and a way to maximize, quote unquote, your results during a challenge or during a period of time. We have days like this where you're going to consume extra calories. Is just get a total body work in, do a little extra work. And I love doing it ahead of time. I do not like the idea of punishing yourself with exercise, right? Like, hey, go do stuff you enjoy. Just do a little extra of it that day, right? Kind of create that, caloric burn early in the day, knowing that you're going to have a few more calories later in the
I think it helps mentally to do it before too, because then you don't feel as bad about some of those decisions. And then let's be honest,
100%.
where you go to
Yeah.
eat the stuff, you're not. A lot of people aren't going to feel up to doing it
Yes.
afterwards anyway. So get it done
Yeah. And
early.
a couple of things that we've seen, and once again, guys, this is just online, right? So these were just numbers that we were pulling up some data. It'll say the average person will gain 5 pounds over Thanksgiving, but that is, once again, that's not 5 pounds of body fat. I want to point that out. Generally, what that is what we're talking about. A little bit of muscle glycogen being stored. So when you store carbohydrate inside the muscle as muscle glycogen, or in the liver as liver glycogen, either place, you're going to store 3 to 4 grams of water for every gram of carbohydrate, right? You can store roughly 400 grams inside the muscle cell, give or take, 90 inside the liver. So when you have a quote unquote full load of glycogen, you're going to be up to 4 or 5 pounds, right? Then sometimes we have some alcohol drinks, maybe we eat some of the sweets that we're not used to, and you're going to have a little bit of inflammation too, right? So that's where I think we see that 5 pound gain. It's more of that water weight gain than it is body fat, okay? Because in the same token, the average person does gain 2 to 3 pounds of body fat from Thanksgiving to the new year. So between Thanksgiving all the way to the new year, that's where we will generally see that increase in body fat. Okay. Now you looked up some stats. The average Thanksgiving meal alone was how many calories?
3,000 to 4,500.
Woo! And you were saying, a good conversation we had. I'm wondering if that's like one setting or if that's like seconds, thirds, when they're figuring those numbers out. Cause I mean, I'm like you, like, I remember when I first got into losing weight, right? It was chunky. When I got chunky and then lost weight, like you were afraid to eat anything. And then once you did, you just was like, well, I've already messed up. I might as well have whatever. And I bet there's times I've had 4,000, 5,000 calories at a meal before,
Yeah,
especially in the
100%.
holidays.
Especially holidays when you start adding desserts and, like you said,
Yes.
adding the alcoholic beverages or whatever it may be, it can add up quick.
Yeah. Now, this is something I would encourage people, and I'm good either way, but depending on where you're at in your journey, if you're new to your journey and you've just started tracking macros, I would encourage you to track. Okay. I would encourage you to go ahead and log everything that you have just for the knowledge of it, to see that 2,000 calorie meal or to see how many calories you consume, because I think that's big to learn. Yeah, and to know, right? Because a lot of times, people become really good at losing weight because they know they can eat 1,800, 2,000, 2,200 calories, whatever it is, but they don't know where they need to maintain. So this is what we're talking about with journaling. A lot of times the best time is when you're learning and then maintenance. So I think this is a good time to journal if you're new to journaling. Once again, with no goal, you're not trying to land your macros for the day necessarily. You're just trying to see how many calories you're consuming in that. Okay. Now, with that being said, don't change up what you're doing throughout the day. Front load the day with protein, right? Still want to have protein during the day. And probably what I'll do, going back to my long bike ride, is I'll fuel a little bit, but that's not going to be a hard bike ride. So I'll probably get up, have a protein shake, hop on the bike, go for a 2 or 3 hour ride, consume a little bit of carbohydrate inside of that ride, but nothing crazy like when normally if I was riding hard, do a post workout shake after the bike ride. And then depending on when dinner is, may have one more meal during the day, which would be low in carbohydrate and fat. I would make it primarily like a protein and say a veggie or salad based. And then boom, have what I want to at dinner. That's kind of how I'm going to approach it. Still going to land the protein for the day. Yes, calories will probably be high by the time I have the desserts and that type of stuff. But overall, my goal is to break even on the day as far as total calorie expenditure and total calorie consumption based on the movement that I do earlier in the day.
Yep, I'm gonna track it all. I'm gonna use it more of a as a coaching point for some
Okay.
people. Also, because like you just mentioned, tracking it, see where you land, and I think it's a good thing to note. Okay, weigh yourself afterwards. Maybe the next day, see where that weight is, and then get back right back on plan, like we talk about for 4 to 5 days and see how that weight levels itself back out, showing you that, that one meal, that one thing, that one day didn't completely ruin your results, didn't ruin your goals, if that makes sense.
100%. Now, if you are right now, you're inside of a challenge, let's say you're doing well and you're wanting to produce as good results as possible by the end of a challenge or by the end of the year, then I'm maybe plan ahead, especially if you're the host. Okay. If you're not the host, and once again, you're making some dishes that you can take or you know what they're going to have, go ahead and pre plan everything out. Okay. Know what you're going to have, serving size, know what you're going to consume, and go in and attack that, have it, and boom, move on. And then the other thing I would say, based on whether you're hosting, is especially if you're hosting, go ahead and portion things out once you're putting the leftovers away. So that'd be my encouragement, right? Fix some extra turkey, fix some extra protein. If you do, some people do ham, some people do turkey, etc. Fix, a little bit extra so that then your quote unquote meal prep meals afterwards can be higher in protein. Okay. Then with some of the side dishes. Now you might not be able to have all the side dishes with every single one of those meals, but you just have to portion them out to make sure they work within your goals and your macros, right? That way it's just not sitting around and you don't know what to do. And the next thing you know, once again, you're having two bowls of the sweet potato casserole and you just had 300 grams of carbs, right? Like go ahead and portion those out. That way you can get right back on track the next day and move forward.
Sweet potato casserole.
I know. I don't think I've ever had it, to be honest. I don't know. It's coming up in my mind as I'm talking about what people have.
Oh man, sounds
You know,
good.
so um, some other tips I would say, just in general, anytime you have a day like this, and we've kind of mentioned them, right? So just to kind of recap. One, how can you fit in additional movement? Okay. Once again, I don't want you to think of this as a punishment as much as like, hey, let's just go out and move more. If it's a holiday, and you have a little extra time, all right, enjoy the outdoors, get out and move. Okay. And then, keep the protein the same. So you should still be consuming protein with each meal or each snack, but you may be cutting back on those fuel sources of the carbohydrate and the fat to quote unquote allow more consumption at this one meal, that we are planning for respectively. Okay. In this case, the Thanksgiving meal. Look at once again, taking in your own side dishes, taking in your own entrees to give and have those better choices for what your goals are versus, quote unquote, taking Tupperware and just eating your own thing for that. Okay. Have a game plan, execute the game plan. Worst case scenario, if you jack everything up, right? You go in, you have no protein, you eat all the sweets, and you go back for more. No big deal. You're human. All it is some additional carbohydrate and some additional fat. That's all it is. Get back on track the next day and then move forward. That would be the biggest take home. Minimize that rebound if you do fall off, if you don't execute your plan and don't do what you wanted to, and then get right back on track the next day.
Love it.
So other than that, enjoy it. Hug the families, right? Like hug the families. Hug you see in your family, hug the people, and this is just age, I think for me, to be honest, and both of us fall into this with, our fathers passing in, the past few years is like, enjoy the time with people, right? That's what it's about. Going to Friendsgivings, enjoy the people. Okay. Enjoy the people. I'm not saying enjoy the food. Food is part of celebrations. Food is part of gatherings. It is. But it doesn't necessarily mean we need to overeat. It doesn't necessarily mean that we need to make poor or unhealthy choices, right? You are a beacon or you are a leader in your subculture. Lead by having those healthy choices. Yes, we can still celebrate by having food available and having healthy food that's good for our body. It is not a green light to just go ahead and quote unquote eat like, a butthole just because these foods are available.
Agree. I don't think I remember any kind of holiday or anything where I just like have big memories about the food that was there. It was always about the memories made with the people that was there.
Awesome. Well, and I'll do this, guys. Tag the JM podcast on Instagram of maybe your meal, and we'll look at doing some type of gift card as a giveaway. Okay. So Reno's not on here, but what we'll do is tag myself, tag Monte, and tag the podcast. Okay. We'll leave Reno out of this one because I know he's going to do a few more other giveaways throughout the month of December. And we'll just randomly select someone that tags us. We'll share them on our story. Just showcasing what you're having at Thanksgiving dinner, and we'll go from there. So pick a winner, send out a gift card, all that fun stuff. So Monte, I appreciate you, man. We'll hop on our team call here in about 15 or 20 minutes, and we will rock and roll.
Sounds good. I'll see you soon, brother.
Awesome, guys. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.